Hi, I'm Trevor with Protect Life Michigan, and today we're going to respond to a video by RJ Aguiar. In this video, he takes on the argument that abortion is equivalent to murder. So let's start by watching our first clip and how we would respond.
First off, let's take a look at the word murder, which is defined as the unlawful and premeditated killing of one person by another person. So already we run into two issues. First off, murder is unlawful, abortion is not. Second is the assumption that a fetus or an embryo is legally a person. And when you make that assumption, things start to get really dicey.
Alright, so first, his argument here creates this kind of logical fallacy called a straw man argument, where they take someone's argument and they create a similar version of the argument that's much easier to take down, a straw man. And the way he does this is by saying that the pro-life position is that abortion is legally defined as murder. He makes that the claim that the pro-life movement is making, and he says, well, murder is illegal. Abortion is not illegal, therefore abortion is not murder. And in a sense, he's not wrong. Abortion is not illegal, therefore if murder is the unlawful killing of another person, abortion is not murder. However, we need to differentiate, or more accurately state the claim that the pro-life movement is making. The claim is not that abortion is the unlawful killing of an innocent human being. Instead, the claim is that abortion is equivalent to the act of murder, which is the intentional killing of an innocent human being. Second, he appeals to this idea that the law somehow justifies abortion. And he does this throughout the video. Some of the clips we won't show, but his premise is that, well, abortion is legal, therefore abortion is okay. And we have to make sure that we always keep in mind that the law is not the source of morality. Instead, the law is meant to be a reflection of morality, meaning we don't say something is right because the law says so, think slavery. Instead, we say, let's make sure the law properly reflects morality. Now let's go to our next clip.
See, over here, you have a person, a living, breathing, fully functioning organism. And over here, you have a fertilized egg, which is the moment that many pro-lifers argue is the moment that life begins. Now let's compare the two. A person has the ability to communicate and express themselves. A zygote does not. A person has the ability to think and reason and learn. A zygote does not. A person has the ability to feel emotions, as well as perceive a variety of outside external stimuli. A fertilized egg cannot do those things. But all of that aside, the simple fact is that you have a lot of developmental stepping stones in between here and here.
Alright, so with this part of his argument, he moves on from arguing from this legal standpoint to instead saying, regardless of whether or not it's murder or not, this embryo, this zygote, is not the same as a born child, a baby. And in a lot of ways, we agree. Like, we're not saying a zygote is a toddler. There are significant differences between the zygote and the toddler. Obviously, one's in a womb, one's not. One's larger and more developed, the other is not. However, he's saying that those differences, specifically the ability to communicate, to reason, or think, or to feel, those differences are so significant that it disqualifies the zygote or the embryo from being a part of the human family that has rights. And the problem with that claim that he makes, saying essentially that if you can communicate, reason, and think, you are valuable, is that that's not backed up with any logic that can be that can withstand criticism. Essentially, that claim throws out the idea of human equality completely. If you think about it, if we agree that all humans are equal in their fundamental rights, then we must have something that we all share in common to base that claim in, to base that claim for equality in. If we base that in our ability to communicate, reason, think, or feel, equality goes out the window, because those who can reason more or think more or communicate better are going to have more rights or more fundamental human value than those who cannot. Instead, it should be based on the only thing that we all share at all times, everywhere throughout the world, which is the fact that we are human. human equality is based in nothing more, nothing less than you are a member of the human family who deserves every fundamental right that any other human has. Now, let's go to our final clip from RJ.
Let me just get to the point. When it comes to determining when life begins and when a fetus begins to have legal rights, it is an extremely complex and in-depth debate. Because again, so many of the criteria that I use to describe personhood shows up at different points in the timeline. But one thing is definitely certain. A zygote is not the same thing as a baby.
So here, RJ says, forget every other argument I just provided. Instead, focus on the fact that we don't really know what's going on in the womb. He argues from ignorance in a way. He says, you know, from the moment a zygote is formed to the moment it is born and becomes a baby in his eyes, there's lots of things that are happening. What we do know is that an unborn child is not a born child. And that's his argument from ignorance, saying we don't really know what's happening in the womb, so therefore abortion should be okay. The problem with that argument is that it defers to ignorance and says, since we can't decide, let's kill the unborn. Let's allow that to happen. And instead, the way that we should act is say, hey, you know, human life is so valuable, is so precious, is so unique that we should err on the side of caution. I will say that the science is clear that from the moment of conception, the unborn child is a whole living and distinct human being. They display the signs of biological life, they have metabolism, they're growing, they're reproducing. So his claim is not true, but even if it were that we don't really know what the unborn child is, we should err on the side of caution. Thank you all for watching this video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to add those down below. If you have other arguments you'd like to hear us respond to, feel free to comment below or contact us at protectlifemi.org. Thank you.